Welcome to the Sleazy Podcast, the podcast about anything and everything, but mostly TV and movies. And now it's time to get sleazy.
Well, hello there.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 198 of the world-renowned Sleazy Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sleazy, and I am joined by the one, the only Mr. PBS.
Howdy. That's soothing PBS.
Yeah, yeah.
Very soothing.
And then we've got the other one and only Robzilla.
Yo.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I have one of those.
If I had another friend that was just like Robzilla, it might push me over the edge.
I believe it.
You'd have to make them fight like the Joker in the Dark Knight. Just
We're
snap a pool cue. Like only one of you can be part of this organization.
We're having tryouts.
Yeah.
Of course, they're both Robzilla, so they both lose.
Only one of you can burp rotten egg smelling burps in my face.
I can't do it.
only one can annoy me on a regular basis. I can't have two.
Which one of you coughs less is what I want to know.
That's the question here.
So yeah, it's Friday the 13th. Wow. A Friday the 13th in December.
I love it.
Yeah. Did you see my little Christmas Jason post I posted today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that's
Fantastic.
pretty cool. So yeah, we're not going to talk about Friday the 13th though, because we've got a ton of stuff to talk about, if you believe it or not. To run it down, I'm going to talk about GalaxyCon just to start it off, but from this after that we'll go into crazy news. Then we're going to talk about the TikTok ban that is coming eventually, and Wabbyzilla and I will talk about Werewolves starring Frank Grillo. And then I went and saw Gladiator 2 because you guys are bums, essentially. Can't get you to leave the house.
It's tough out there.
I got you to leave to go see Werewolves,
Yeah.
believe it or not. But so full lineup tonight. Hopefully it's a little something for everybody. And, it's going to be spoiler free, obviously, and very opinionated when it comes to the crazy news. We've got an assassination in there and a bunch of other stuff too. So hopefully we deliver for the people tonight.
We'll try.
Yeah, we'll definitely try.
We'll try.
So GalaxyCon was last weekend, and I met our one friend, Davey Aerostorm, if you didn't know him, from Bright's Family Zoo. His family owns that down in Tennessee. But he came up for GalaxyCon, and what a stacked lineup, dude. I mean, there was just all kinds of people there. Hayden Christensen was the big name, though.
Yeah, he snapped the line how long it was for him.
Dude, it's insane. I don't think, we've been going to, how long have we been going to conventions?
Probably a decade.
Yeah, a little over a decade. It's more than a decade now. Probably 14 years, I want to say. But I've never seen a line as big as it was for Hayden Christensen. And we're talking for his autograph line. And then you would walk over, because they changed the layout. They put all the celebrities and the photo ops in the back this time. And you would go over there, and then there's a line for Hayden Christensen for his autograph that went from one side of the building all the way to the other side. And then the photo op line was just as bad because they were telling people to go over there and line up. But I didn't meet Hayden Christensen. Davey did, and he spent all day Saturday in line.
I believe
all day. I felt bad for him. Like at one point I texted him. I was like, hey, do you need me to grab you lunch?
Right.
And he was like, no, I was able to, go to one of the, they set up booths like Subways in there and stuff like that. He was able to sneak out and go get that and then get back in line, luckily. But that's just ridiculous. I mean, for something like that, they should really draw times for people, you should go and scan your QR code. But man, it was crazy though. I went to a couple of Q&As too. Black Eric was there with us with Colette, his girlfriend, and he met Sting and Mick Foley, and I want to say he met somebody else too. But I ended up meeting Kiefer Sutherland, Ernie Hudson, and I met the cast of Rick and Morty. So I don't know all their names, but the daughter, Morty, Rick,
Summer.
and what's his face that plays Jerry?
Chris Parnell.
Chris Parnell is like the real life Jerry. Like at one point I was waiting on him to call me champ. But, man, and the funny thing about it was I walked around that convention for 2 days looking for something with all of them to sign. Couldn't find an 11 by 17. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find 8 by 10s. And I walked up and I made the mistake. I didn't look at each table. I saw Morty and the girl that played the daughter. I'm being so rude. I need to look her up. But I was get on that, dude. So I was looking and I saw that they just had like 8 by 10s of their characters. And I wanted a picture with all of them on it. And the closest I got was I found a poster on the second day, like towards the end of the day. And it was like maybe close to 6 o'clock. This guy had a poster booth and he had a poster of Rick in the mugshot wanted thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, dude, do you have any more Rick and Morty stuff? And he was like, oh yeah, I got one more over here. It was in the corner where nobody could see it. So I ended up getting that, and it had the mom, Rick, Morty, and the sister, not the dad.
Spencer Grammer is her name.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, she was cool. They were all very cool to be honest. But so I go up and I get her autograph, and then the guy that plays Morty was next to her, and then the guy that plays Rick, and then Chris Parnell. So he was last. And I was talking to the dude Harry because nobody was in their line. It was the end of the day, and Harry was like, he complimented me on my I have my like fashion glasses on, the newer ones that I have, and he was like, oh, those are cool glasses. And we ended up talking for like 20 minutes, and I was like, hey, like, here's the story. I was looking for one of these, and he was like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't give us pictures with all of us in it. Well, with all of us being here. And I was like, yeah, I just wanted a picture with all of you guys. And he was like, you're going to have Chris sign this, right? I was like, of course. And he was like, you should have Chris draw a stick figure.
Draw Jerry in or something.
Yeah. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's like the most Jerry thing ever for him not to be included in it. And he was like, dude, you're so on with that. And we had a good laugh about it. But I got in Jerry's line, well, Chris Parnell's line. And this guy, it was just me and this other guy. The guy was in front of me. And then a couple people showed up behind me. And this guy wanted a specific quote, but he didn't know the quote.
Nope.
So, and God love Chris Parnell. He's got a notebook filled with Jerry quotes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Ready to go. And then other quotes from characters that he's played. And
that's a good idea.
Yeah, it really is, actually.
And he's like, oh, you really want that quote, huh? And he's just like talking to him like really polite, like overly polite. Yeah. And he was like, hold on, let's look this up. And the agent's kind of like trying to move it along. He's like, well, how about we just do this and put ... you know? And they couldn't find it, to make a long story short. And after a while, he was like, well, how about we do this? And, I'll put ... with another quote after it, Does that sound good for you? It's whatever you want. and that's where I started getting that, like, he's gonna call me champ. I know.
I'm hoping he does.
He's gonna call me champ or sport. I'm just waiting on it. Like I was, I really thought Chris Parnell was gonna ask me to throw a game of catch out behind the convention. But so I get up there and I tell him the story as I'm unraveling this giant 24 by 36 poster, which I don't think I'll ever get another poster that big signed again. It's too big of a hassle.
And you could put some up down here, but they do take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So unless you have a poster room or something.
And everybody signs this stuff with the paint Sharpies now. And like, I'm walking around the convention, like trying to like blow dry it, And, but anyways, so I'm telling him about this and he's like, whatever you want. It's your signature. He's just so nice. And I was like, no, whatever's easiest for you, Chris. And he's like, do you want me to actually draw Jerry? And I'm like, that's fucking awesome. That's brilliant, dude. He's like, no, it's not going to be like Jerry. It'll be, and this motherfucker, he drew it out. Yeah. It looks, you can look at it over there when you leave, but he did a good job. And I was like, that's awesome. But if Chris Parnell ever comes back, I'm totally getting them to sign like a
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
no, either the doctor from 30 Rock or a picture of him from Jingle All the Way.
Okay.
So there's so many like iconic things that he's been in.
Mhm.
Like he's never been like a star, but he's just played these iconic roles and everything. But man, he was cool. Kiefer Sutherland was cool as hell too.
I was wondering how he was.
I had to wait 45 minutes for Kiefer Sutherland.
Mhm.
And I was in the GA line. I didn't have a VIP. And he would clear the VIP line out and then it would fill right back up. But after about 45 minutes, it cleared out and he was able to get us all through. And he was just so polite to everybody. Like I was behind this son and mother, and he looked up because he saw us watching him sign stuff for people. And he gave the lady in front of me like a little wave like that. I thought she was going to fade into me. She was like, "Oh my God, he waved at me." And I was like, "Oh yeah, he did. But I get up there and I gave him my QR code because I prepaid for his. And I was the lady was like, "Do you want it personalized?" And normally I don't get shit. If it's like somebody really successful, like someone like Kiefer, I don't get them personalized just because I want to pass something down to people when I leave. But I was like, fuck it. This is for me, baby. I was like, put Sleazy on there. And I got a nice Jack Bauer picture of him in a tunnel with the gun out and the bulletproof vest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get up there and he takes the Post-it note off and he goes, "Is this you?" In that Kiefer Sutherland voice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he had a nice chuckle and he was like, nice. And I just thought that was so cool. I always like to make people laugh at that when they see it, you know. But he was really cool. He had a nice signature and he put all the best on it and signed it with Jack on there, you know. I was like, "Oh my God, I just met Jack.
Oh my God, Jack.
I just met Jack Bauer." But man, this line was insane for Hayden Christensen. I took a video of it. Hold on. Let me see if I can get in here.
I know it was outrageous when you sent it. I was like, my God.
And Ernie Hudson. What an angel.
I bet he is.
Dude, so I didn't get Ernie's autograph, but I went to his Q&A and then I just happened to be wearing the Ghostbusters Sleazy Podcast shirt I did years ago. And I totally forgot Ernie Hudson was there. Along with, they had, the anime people are rock stars there.
Oh yeah.
They had nonstop lines. You couldn't get in Chris Sabat's line. And then even the little anime people they were crushing it, dude. I bet those people made 50, 60 G's. Chris Sabat probably made like 300K.
Oh yeah. Easy.
Insane, dude. But I probably took the best photo I've ever taken with Ernie Hudson. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Actually, I'm just going to save this to my desktop real quick. Let me see if I can save the video too. I might not be able to save it.
It is a good picture.
It really is a good picture.
Ernie Hudson seemed like a guy who's just kind of out there enjoying himself.
Oh yeah.
He does all these appearances, and everything.
So down to earth, so polite. I mean, other than like David Tennant, just the welcoming feeling you get, like being in his presence, like it's just a guy that's grateful for everything he has.
Yeah.
But super cool.
Dude's like a working actor. And this kind of stuff is like bonus for him.
Yeah.
That he gets kind of.
Yeah. But so I was looking at the photo ops and it said Ernie Hudson Ghostbusters uniform. I was like, got to do it.
Yeah.
I got the shirt on, got to do it.
Right.
And ended up going and getting this on Friday. Look at that.
It's a good picture.
I know. You can just genuinely see how happy I am. But so there wasn't that many people. It was really a quick photo op, but he was so cool. He took his time with everybody and made sure that you got a moment with him. And you know how photo ops are. They literally push you through there and there's no interaction. Nah, he was like, he greeted you and then stepped back. It was almost like Kevin Smith when I met him. But they were playing the Bobby Brown song from Ghostbusters 2.
Oh yeah,
so cool. It was a nice atmosphere.
Gets the vibe going.
Oh yeah, dude. It was cool, man. Okay, so now we got to see this line here. If I can get this to go. All right. God damn, you're rotten
sorry.
egg burps,
I'm sorry.
dude. You got to do something about that, Rob.
I'm sorry. That's why I turned away.
I'm literally getting ready to throw up on you from the smell.
I'm sorry.
Gonna get him some of them Listerine strips.
Something, dude. Oh my God.
To the back of the building.
Look at that.
Hayden Christensen's line is where that square drapes are.
Yep, right there.
And it goes all the way to the back of the building. Hayden Christensen's line is where that square.
Dude, insane.
I didn't see how much he was charging for autographs and stuff too.
It was like one something, I think. Like
I'd imagine at least
150 or something like that. It might have been more than that. I don't know. I think the photo op was that like 180 or something like that, 185 or something. I don't know.
So I knew he was expensive, but I just didn't know.
Yeah. Man, those fucking burps, dude.
I'm sorry.
You need to take some Gas X or something, homie.
Okay.
eat a sugar cookie, something.
Spike that insulin, buddy.
For real, bro. You need to tell your doctor, like, I can't do it, dude. It's killing my professional life.
My boss is gonna kill me.
Yeah, no.
So I podcast with like one of my best friends, and he treats me like shit over this.
I don't know what to tell you, sir.
But yeah, I mean, GalaxyCon, man, they load these conventions up, and it was fun. The vendors were not that great this time. Normally, I can knock out Christmas shopping there, one stop, but they had like maybe like 2 or 3 aisles, and it felt like I was in an expo of some sort, a Sunday flea market or some shit. Just shit. Everybody's junk coming there,
Right.
A lot of 3D printed stuff too. There's a lot of 3D printed booths nowadays. Okay, so I guess we're gonna move it on to crazy news. Is that what we're gonna do next?
Yes, sir.
What would you like to start us out with, Mr. PBS?
Oh golly.
I mean, we've got Hawk Tuah, we've got United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson being assassinated. What else do we have? That's pretty much it, though.
Yeah,
for crazy news. I mean, TikTok's not crazy.
Yeah,
news.
it's not crazy. Yeah.
It's a little bit, but I don't know. Let's talk about Brian Thompson and Luigi.
It's me, Luigi.
I shoot you now.
Do you think he said that when he was like going to shooting?
If he did, he's a legend.
He shot him. He was like, "It's me, Luigi,"
playing the Super Mario music in the background.
Oh, that would be hilarious if he was like riding his bike down the street to the Mario music was playing. What a name, though. I mean, for an assassin. And people can say that it's very divided subject. It seems like, well, not very divided.
Shouldn't be.
Let's say it's 80-20,
fair.
split here. I think most people are along the lines of us. My thoughts are my heart pumps piss for Brian Thompson.
Yeah.
That's the same that my pop says.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't feel sorry for him. What do you expect when you fuck millions of people over and you're complacent in, dare I say, millions of deaths over the years?
Possibly.
I mean, if not, it's got to be close.
Mm-hmm.
And not only just deaths, but families being torn apart over medical bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just deaths. That's what people have to understand, that they actively try. I mean, they don't try. They actively succeed in saving money off of life-saving treatments that people need, and
unnecessary
care, as they say.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So, do we want to read this article? All right. So, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson murder manhunt enters 4th day, which this is old. We know who's been caught.
Right.
What's his name? Luigi Mangione. What a great Italian name.
I know,
I
right?
think we should be at least sort of generalized in some of our comments just because it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
But so what day was that it happened? December?
Oh, the 4th.
Yeah.
December the 4th was when he was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
So a gunman catches Brian Thompson outside like the Manhattan Hilton at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever it is, and like shoots him 3 times and makes off on his bicycle through Central Park.
And he avoided most of the cameras
Somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty planned out, it seemed like.
So they were having their like quarterly investor meeting or whatever it is that they were having at the hotel. That's kind of why they were there. And it either had to be planned out or just luck that he caught him at the entrance like that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say which is which, whether it was luck or whether it was planned. That was sort of like the big talk for those first couple of days, is they were kind of hyping the gunman up as like he's the hitman, he's the adjuster or whatever. And I think people like us, and I think maybe your average American, we've all seen too many movies in a way. So that's one thing we got to be careful to not think of it as, I think, and just kind of wait and see how some of this stuff unfolds. But he made it out of New York apparently, and made it all the way to Altoona, Pennsylvania, before allegedly being turned in by a McDonald's employee. Even some people are kind of questioning exactly how that went down now, because some people have suggested maybe they kind of had their eye on him even before then, like possibly using some sort of illegal surveillance, which we all know is out there.
Yeah.
And that's like the conspiratorial tone of why the person who turned him in like isn't getting the money or anything, because they offered the $10,000 reward that went up to the $50,000 reward. And now they're saying, well, the person called 911. They didn't call Crime Stoppers, so we're not really beholden to give them their reward.
Isn't that the biggest load of shit ever?
Right.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is why it doesn't pay to snitch.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay to snitch.
Did you see the comment? They're like, Burger King employees don't snitch.
Yeah.
Or something.
There was a fake fake Burger King account that said, we don't snitch over here.
I did see people putting like people who work at Waffle House making TikToks like, hell, we'd have helped you fight the cops off. We'd hit the gun for you.
Between that and Popeye employees.
Oh yeah. If the cops would have came in a Waffle House, they'd have just told that dude to go out the back.
And it's weird that he still had the gun on him. He still had like the hoodie or whatever. He had his manifesto that he had. I don't like calling it a manifesto. It's like 2 pages. Like a manifesto needs to be like a book, like Unabomber kind of thing. You know what I mean? And so he had all this on him when he was found, and you could say that's kind of odd, but at the same time, if he's just a guy, and some are suggesting that maybe he's had some mental issues this year.
What's up with the both of you and your fucking gas?
It's my throat was just kind of closing up there for a second.
Yeah, something's going on over there.
And because I'm talking a lot.
Falling apart.
Take a drink.
So anyway, it's kind of conspiratorial almost that he would have all this stuff on him, but at the same time, he is just a dude on the run. So it's like
they found like $8,000 cash on him, and
supposedly he made a comment that he had not seen that stuff, some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it is a little odd, but like I say, that's kind of why I'm trying to be kind of general about this, because you could go right down like a conspiratorial rabbit hole and and all this stuff, but at the same time, it could just be a dude who kind of got lucky and made off.
I've seen where a couple of lawyers have commented on X where this has all the makings of a setup. So like they found a fingerprint at the crime scene, but like even in the video, I don't recall seeing him touch anything.
Well, I guess,
but then again, what did he want to get caught? Because you see him in the video and he's not wearing any gloves or anything.
Right.
So
that's the other thing. Like, because he had his handwritten note on him. Was he expecting to get caught? Did he think he'd get caught? I mean,
yeah. And they said when the cops approached him in Pennsylvania that he was just chilling and he didn't care. He wasn't confrontational. He's like, okay.
Hey, what's up, guys? Oh, you found me, huh? Oh, okay.
There's some picture going around of him eating McDonald's or something.
Yeah. So
everybody's like, oh, did he do it on purpose? Did he know? And it's just.
So here's an updated article from CBSnews.com. So Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, was shot to death Wednesday, December 4th, outside the New York Hilton Middletown in Manhattan, where the company was hosting an investor day, which we might add went on flawlessly without him.
I believe somebody said they stepped over his dead body to still have their investor meeting.
Yeah.
And he's the CEO. So just imagine what they do to you.
Yeah. Just, more proof that you do not matter to these companies. No matter who you are to these companies, you're expendable.
Yep.
Thompson, 50, was named CEO of United Health Group's insurance arm in April 2021. He first joined United Health Group in 2004 and had previously served as CEO of the company's government programs, including Medicare and retiree coverage and community and state programs providing Medicaid and other types of coverage to millions of individuals. In his most recent role as CEO of United Healthcare, he was responsible for leading growth across the company's global employer, individual, specialty, and government benefit businesses, according to a 2021 company statement announcing his appointment. Ryan's experience, relationships, and values make him especially well suited to help United Healthcare improve how healthcare works for consumers, physicians, employers, governments, and our other partners. I think you pretty much named them all there, guy. Leading to continued and sustained long-term growth. United Health Group CEO Andrew Whitty said at that time. Another douchebag in the making right there.
Yep.
A suspect in Thompson's murder, Luigi Mangione, was taken into custody on December 9th and is now charged with murder. The 26-year-old is being held without bail in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and is expected to be extradited to New York City to face murder charges. I believe they said he'll be there by the new year. So they're kind of aiming for like that 29th, 30th date. The Mangione family released a statement saying they are devastated and shocked by the news. Everyone seems shocked by the news. Have you seen interviews of these people that went to school with him and stuff? They're like, he was the sweetest, nicest guy ever. I can't believe it.
Well, when you get pushed too far,
it just goes to show you, man, that even well-off people are getting screwed over by the insurance companies. I mean, they're literally getting screwed and they're having the same heartache as us. Probably not as bad, but in his manifesto, you definitely felt the pain.
He said he calls them parasites.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth. Sorry.
Yeah, nothing can be more truer than that. Unfortunately, we cannot comment on news reports regarding Luigi Mangione. We only know what we have read in the media. Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest, the statement read. We offer our prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved. We are devastated by this news. Okay, whatever. Low-key CEO, Thompson held other positions over his 20 years at United Healthcare, including chief financial officer for the company's employer, individual, community, and state Medicare and retirement businesses. He also served as a financial controller of United Healthcare's employer and individual business and was a director in the company's corporate development division. For a top executive at a $562 billion company that affects how millions of Americans get healthcare, Thompson kept a relatively low profile, as he should. At an investor meeting last year, he outlined United Health's shift to value-based care. Okay, dude. Paying doctors and other caregivers to keep patients healthy rather than focusing on treating them when they get sick. Whatever. Yeah.
That's all that, that's what they always say.
Yeah. Well, if you did the right things, you wouldn't have got cancer. So we shouldn't have to pay your treatments for that. Denied.
Yeah.
Healthcare should be easier for people, Thompson said at the time. We are cognizant of the challenges, but navigating a future through value-based care unlocks a situation where the family doesn't have to make the decisions on their own. In 2023, Thompson earned total compensation of $10.2 million, according to a disclosure by United Health Group. Before joining United Health Group, Thompson worked as a certified public accountant at accounting firm PwC. Just a pause here. How does somebody with that background end up becoming a CEO of a healthcare company that doesn't necessarily have healthcare?
You just gotta be heartless.
Like not a physician or anything,
Because it's not about healthcare.
It's about numbers.
Business, yeah.
Yes.
It's about being an accountant.
That just goes to show you how wrong how misleading these companies are. According to his biography on networking site LinkedIn, Thompson graduated from the University of Iowa in 1997 with a bachelor's degree in business administration, and most recently resided in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Following the shooting, United Healthcare canceled its Wednesday meeting with Wall Street analysts and investors. I thought they went on with it.
I heard they had the meeting.
Yeah, I think this article's wrong because I heard they had it too.
Yeah.
We could be wrong on that, but who cares? Which Thompson had been scheduled to attend. We are deeply saddened and shocked at the passing of our dear friend and colleague, Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. United Health Group said in a statement, Brian was a highly respected colleague and friend to all who worked with him. We are working closely with the New York Police Department and ask for your patience and understanding during this difficult time. Our hearts go out to Brian's family and all who were close to him. On LinkedIn, former colleagues described Thompson as an affable and popular leader.
Aren't they all?
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers.
You know, when you're around the guys that are getting all the money and they share just a little bit of the crumbs with you, you're going to say things like that. BT was whip smart and affable, a guy who could grasp the complexities of healthcare and explain them in simple, relatable terms, true to his Iowa upbringing, said Matt Burns, who served as vice president of communications of United Health Group from 2015 to 2018. Yeah, of course, that dude's got something great to say about him.
Mm-hmm.
Brian helped me pay for this house.
We loved counting our millions together on the golf course.
Yeah.
Nobody could count their millions like Brian.
We really screwed over that 10-year-old girl with leukemia.
She got what's coming to her.
You see that boat there? That's because we denied that claim.
Mm-hmm.
Thompson, who's served by his wife, Paulette Thompson, and two sons. We are shattered to hear about the senseless killing of our beloved Brian, Thompson's wife said in a statement provided by CBS News by her sister. And just to point something out here, I read an article that said they had been living in separate households for a couple of years. Yeah. Her beloved Brian that she doesn't care to live with.
She knows he's a douchebag. Well, sorry, was.
Brian was incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives. Most importantly, Brian was an incredibly loving father to our two sons and will be greatly missed. We appreciate your well wishes and request complete privacy as our family moves through this difficult time.
Touch lies, more like killed lies.
Yeah, I'm
stroke of a pin.
And look, here's the thing. Brian Thompson could have easily been a great human being to the people he knows. But the fact that, you know, United Healthcare is the single leader in all of the health industry of denial of claims just tells you all you need to know about the industry and his participation in it. You can say that he was going to go to this preventative care thing and save people's lives and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is he's still complacent in murder. He, you know, as Bill Burr said, he's just not the one pulling the trigger, but he's definitely involved in it.
It's just clean.
You know, and like I said earlier, my heart pumps piss. I just don't care. You know, if these people didn't screw people over and, you know, put them to a breaking point, you won't get assassinated.
Yeah.
If you're taking care of people at the end of the day, they have no reason to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen where people are like, you know, we've seen a couple people we know that, you know, they're conflating their work experience and their employment in the insurance industry as the same as Brian Thompson. Like, you're an administrative person. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's completely different.
You're not sitting in a boardroom saying we need to deny X amount of claims every year and return even more profit than we did the past 4 or 5 years.
Or else I can't get my new Lambo this year.
It's like going to the grocery store and yelling at the cashier about prices. Like,
yeah.
They don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just, no, trust me. Luigi Mangione does not give a shit about, you know, the customer service rep that is telling him, you know, I'm sure he's disappointed with him or was in his experience along with his mother, but he's not blaming you. He's blaming the person at the top that's ultimately pushing the paperwork and the directions down to everybody else in the company. And this is, everybody is they keep saying, how do we solve this problem? I think we all know how to solve this problem, and we just need to get rid of the for-profit insurance industry. It just needs to be a nonprofit industry, hands down. It doesn't mix well to provide healthcare and be a profit industry. Yeah. Because you know as well as I know, we've worked in the retail industry all these years, and we've seen them trim the fat until it's bare down to the bone.
Mhm.
And even then, they're shaving the bone down.
Getting the marrow out.
And
yes.
it's ultimately the only people that it's good for are the people at the top, the cronies that the CEOs have the answer to them. You know, these are the only people that benefit from these profits. You know, they're not turning around and pumping the profit back into getting you a better system to, you know, manage your claims and stuff like that. And I heard that he had they were not he specifically, but they had implemented AI programming to speed up the denial process of the claims. It's just, when you look at the overall sadness of this and what people have gone through for decades now, it's terrible. And you know what? I'm shocked that it took this long for somebody to shoot one of these people.
Yeah.
And you can say I'm a heartless prick all you want, but that's just the reality of the world we live in. I mean, we've tried to get elected officials in to change this. We got a little bit of change with Obama, but now it's like you tell these people about the problem and they're like, they don't care.
Yeah.
They want $600 rent. They want 79-cent eggs and $20 gas fill-ups. And those days are gone. They're never coming back. They're never coming back.
Sorry. Well, it's just, it's to me, it's a little bit shocking that you'll see a lot of different political views agree with this situation, because everybody's in the same boat. They're getting screwed.
It's funny. Everybody that is in a political position or in the media per se, they all like, this is a terrible tragedy that has happened and violence is unacceptable. And then they go, but not necessarily in that tone, but there's always a but, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they say, you know, they have caused this issue to build and build and build. And now people are desperate and they feel like they don't have anything to live for. And his mother has passed, I want to say, right? Luigi's?
I'm not sure.
Because it made it seem like she had suffered for years until she was.
They say that may have been a contributing factor.
Probably
Yes.
It has to be.
I mean, in his manifesto, it clearly outlines it. Let's see if we can find Mr. Luigi's manifesto.
So I think, you know, some people are missing why this has been met with such, I don't know if positivity is the word for Luigi Mangione. And it's because we've got, it's indicative of the system. Like, people are upset at these things. Like, you have to have health insurance.
Yeah.
And you pay into it in good faith.
I think she's still alive.
And then when it's time to get what you pay for, they can deny you. And everybody's heard those stories like, oh, they denied me because I had a cold in 2007 and didn't put it on a form or something like that. Or, you know, my great grandmother had a congenital heart condition that I have that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And who knows how prevalent that stuff is, but we've heard it happen. You know, we saw that, what was the Michael Moore documentary where like the guy cut 2 of his fingers off or something? They said, well, we've got the money to put one back.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, you only got the money to put one
I think
back?
it was like his ring for his wedding ring.
I don't, and you know, here's the problem too. And I think that this is a big, this is why people can't understand why people are so gleeful about this assassination. I think a lot of people just haven't had to use their health care, or maybe they've had procedures that fall into that common sense, oh, we got to cover this type thing, so you're covered. And so they've never had to go through loopholes and experience how fucked up the insurance companies can be. And like, when I had my emergency surgery, I think I probably mentioned it on here, I got a bill. I mean, my total surgery, I want to say altogether it was over 20 grand or something like that, but I ended up paying $6 grand for the surgery total. And then I got, like, a couple months later, I got a bill for like $4 grand for the emergency room doctor that saw me.
But I was out of network.
Because he was out of network, and I couldn't ask him that. I could barely understand what people were telling me. I was in so much pain. But I mean, that's the kind of shit that people don't have to deal with or have never had to deal with, and they don't understand why people are so emotionally satisfied with this assassination. Like I said, I am shocked that it took this long for it to happen, because I remember, I graduated in 2003. Me and you did.
Yep.
You were 04, right?
Mhm.
And that was back when Michael Moore was really starting to hit his stride, and he's had a couple health documentaries now, hasn't he?
At least the one big one. I don't know how
Yeah.
many he's done since then.
But I mean, that was really wide opening at that time, because when you're a young person, you just don't know about healthcare until unless you've had an illness in your youth and you've seen your parents struggle through that. But I mean, there is just so many loopholes, and it's like the one book. What is it called? Delay, defend, and deny.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but and I mean, it's a tactic they have. Eventually, they want to make you quit.
They know that if they throw an inconvenience in a lot of people's ways, they will stop.
They will stop and just eat the bill.
Yeah.
But in my case, I had posted something on Facebook, and a friend that I went to high school with, she actually used to date Papa Flynn.
Mhm.
She was like, "Hey, I've dealt with this a lot." She had worked for an insurance company. She was like, asked for an appeal, and then write them a formal letter explaining your situation and why you think that should be covered.
Mhm.
Maybe because I had an infection and my gallbladder was dead and I couldn't comprehend anything anybody was saying to me. I think you should cover this. And I ended up winning the appeal, but I still had to pay 20% of that bill.
Yeah. And go through all that hassle.
Yeah. And I mean, this was like 3 or 4 months of a process, but it is a giant shitstorm. And I truly think people just don't understand, the challenges that many of our fellow countrymen and women have to deal with. And one of the things in that Michael Moore documentary from back in the day, I think it's called Sicko.
It's Sicko.
Yeah. He had an aunt and uncle or something in Canada, and they were buying a healthcare package from a travel agent before they visited the United States, because they were terrified they would have something happen to them and end up with a crushing medical debt while they were in the United States. So, I mean, people around the world, I mean, we're the only major country in the world that doesn't have a one-payer system that the government handles. And, there used to be this myth, back in the day when I first started voting, it was, you don't want a one-payer system, because then you'll have to wait years to see a surgeon. You'll have to wait forever. You won't be able to get the surgery you need. False. The problem is they just don't have enough doctors over there.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You know what else fixes that? Free school. It's like, if you invest in your people, it works out and everything flourishes. We don't seem to have that comprehension here with the lawmakers in our country, because it's there's too much money. So it just, it's like I said, it's a very unfortunate event that he had to do this. And I keep like thinking back to like the George Floyd shooting, and where people of color were, George Floyd obviously wasn't the best of characters, and a lot of people said, he wasn't the champion for this message that we would necessarily want, but he's the hero championing the message now.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, like Luigi Mangione, he might have just started a movement. And
he has.
Oh, definitely. I mean, look how many people are pissed off on the internet, and they're not letting up. They are memeing the fuck out of the internet right now.
And those CEOs are terrified.
Yeah, they are. They're scared.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been quoted as saying they're terrified of the poor uprising. And, that's part of the reason why, like, people in France get what they want.
Yep.
They take to the streets, and the government is terrified of the people.
They start pulling people out in the buildings.
Over here, it's like, just sprinkle in some Netflix, couple of PS5s, Xboxes, just enough entertainment to keep the people distracted. Now divide them with the race issues. Let's keep them away from the money. Let's have them fight each other over politics, MAGA, Democrat, liberals, and conservatives. Keep them off of the money and have them fight amongst each other. They'll never be organized enough to take this on. And they've succeeded for many decades, using that formula. And I probably sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist.
No, it's
but
not. It's,
Damn
it's
commie.
facts.
I think I'm pretty spot on.
Well, the again, to pull back to the bigger issue, you think back, we talk about FDR sometimes when we talk politics here, and the New Deal. And the idea was that it put these safety nets in place and it put people to work and all that. But the real safety net was that it stabilized the working class.
Yeah.
So that they wouldn't come after the rich people. And I believe FDR even told them that, like, I'm going to raise your taxes and you're going to pay it, or these people are going to come after us. And, FDR was a rich guy too. And slowly over the last, 80 years, we've been eroding a lot of that stability and a lot of those safeguards because the wealthiest among these people have forgotten that. Like, the whole point of stuff like that was to keep the pitchforks and torches away. And if you erode those, a guy named Rick Perlstein, he's like a journalist and an author, and he writes about conservative stuff. He sent out a tweet that said basically that, like, if you take away people's ability to fix things through politics, they will resort to stuff like this. And you see how our politics, I mean, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever, you'll see that not a lot of the things they pass anymore help stabilize the life of the average person. And like you said, I don't know if I'm surprised that it's taken this long, because I think most people don't want to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
But
it's
eventually, if I always think of the MLK quote where he's talking about people rioting, and he says, like, the riot is like for people who don't have a voice, who are left with no other options. So I can't condemn them. And, like, this is what happens. You're not leaving these people any way to fix these issues. And eventually they're going to do what they're going to do.
And it's so dysfunctional that even when one side of a political party has control of the House and the Senate, like they did in Donald Trump's first term, they can't even get things that they want passed necessarily. And I got news for you. They probably won't get anything passed in Trump's second term because he's nominating people and they're losing seats because of that. I think they have 217 now.
Something like that.
And they need 217 to pass anything to get it to the Senate. And
this guy's getting billionaires in his cabinet. They don't give a shit about you.
No. But, aside from that, the Republican Party is split into two factions, and they're very dysfunctional, and they can't agree on much of anything aside from tax cuts. But, my prediction for Trump's second term, I don't really see much coming out of this Doge thing, because they can't just come in and wipe departments out, because they
can, but
they can't really. I mean, they can move funding around, but I mean, like, you'd have to go through Congress to get some of this stuff moved around. And they don't have the numbers to pass any legislation, because they can't do anything with Social Security, because guess what? Some Republicans have a lot of people that are on Social Security that vote for them, and they know it's political suicide. And I just don't think that they're going to get that magic number of 217, because there's always a few Republicans that are common sense, and they say no to these crazy, far opinionated policies.
Well, you look at policies, like if you interview, or if you take a poll on a lot of issues, like a lot of issues have majority support. Like, most Americans think a woman should have access to an abortion. Most Americans think healthcare needs fixed. Most Americans think, guns need slightly better, more restrictive laws and background checks. And it's like majority. It's like 60+% on all this stuff, but nothing ever gets done on it. And then one side always, points the finger at the other, when honestly they're both kind of crap.
They're both shitty.
Yes.
I mean, we can admit that they're both terrible.
And even look at and then you've got media stuff. Look at Obamacare versus the ACA. You hear people say all the time, like, I don't want that Obamacare, but where do they get their care from? They get their care from the ACA, and apparently they don't. Some people don't seem to understand that it's the same thing, and you listen to the propaganda.
I was just going to say, the propaganda tells them Obamacare is bad for you, but they love ACA. It's the same thing, people.
I'll never forgive the people who talked about death panels back when the ACA first came around.
Yeah.
All because it offered like end of life care and discussions about end of life care, and to trick people basically into thinking that meant they were going to kill your grandma or something was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
And I think anybody involved in that is a real piece of shit and deserved anything they may get.
Yeah.
We should just let
And,
Luigi out onto the streets.
It's like January 6th. Maybe I've said this publicly, maybe not, but like, I'm not necessarily against what they did. I'm against why they did it. They did it because Daddy Trump threw an ego tantrum.
And, if there was proof that there was this massive election fraud, sure, go ahead and do it. But there's no proof.
If you told me that the government was being taken over and there was massive fraud, you'd kind of be like, oh, I guess those people who believed that had some kind of point.
Yeah, go drag them out of the fucking, the Capitol building and do what you got to do.
And I think, again, it goes back to, if you do not have any other option other than violence, that's what you get. And in a way, like, these rich politicians and these rich CEOs and the people at the heads of these companies, they need to understand that the decisions they make have real world consequences for real people.
Yeah.
And those decisions had real world consequences for Brian Thompson, whether he was the greatest guy in the world to his friends, their family, or not. Especially
nowadays where everybody is taking advantage of everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, before it was just healthcare, and now it's slowly leaked into the oil companies, price gouging. Then it became the grocery stores were price gouging. Now it's, the real estate market's being price gouged by these giant
corporations,
BlackRock and all them buying up tons and tons of single family homes and pretty much, dictating the rent economy. And it's terrible. And this is how you get the French Revolution.
We talked about it, just like all these companies that are having profitable quarters and record profits, and they're still laying people off and firing people and closing stores and all that. Like, how do you justify that as somebody making money? It's not like you're losing money,
right?
It's like, oh, we don't have any money, but we found a couple billion to do stock buybacks. Like, that's a political issue. Those used to be illegal, and they should be again.
Yeah,
but if politicians aren't going to do anything about it.
Didn't United Healthcare just do $1 billion worth of buybacks?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Well, then it's just,
I don't know. Okay, so I'll put this on the screen. This will be the last thing we talk about, and we'll move on because we are just strapped for time. We went over big time on this.
Luigi's the new Bane.
It's a big issue. An
army will be raised.
So here's Luigi Mangione's manifesto. And like we said earlier, this cat is pretty well off. He comes from a very, very successful family.
Went to an expensive college.
Went to an expensive high school. They said his tuition, his tuition at his high school was $40,000 a year. And he was valedictorian. So he's no dummy.
For $40,000, he better be valedictorian.
He's like heir to a hotel family. I guess. I mean, so they're loaded. And one of the cousins is like a Republican.
Mm-hmm. Even, people have been going through his social media and stuff. Like, this is not like a left-wing guy.
No,
like,
no,
he
definitely
is
not.
Maybe some people kind of call him like libertarian tech bro kind of guy more than anything.
Yeah.
So he's not like some left-wing, Bernie Sanders commie, whatever you want to,
label him,
label him as.
And like I said, the guy's educated, and it's funny. This is a down the middle issue. A lot of Republicans are saying the same thing. They're like, "Fuck that dude," and it's crazy
because they got to deal with healthcare too.
Yeah,
they got to deal with
This is a touchy subject for everyone. But anyways, here's his manifesto. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary school engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some strangling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife or traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the U.S. has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the indecipherable largest company in the U.S. by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. It has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy. No,
life expectancy has actually been going down since COVID.
Yes. No, the reality is these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Preach, brother. Let's continue. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed, e.g., Rosenthal, Moore, decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I'm the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Okay, is that it? Yeah, but basically, yeah, that's not it. There's more to his manifesto, but he goes into hearing his mom suffer for many nights, hearing her, cry all night in pain and stuff like that. And the loopholes that United Healthcare put them through just to get her appointments with specialists. And then they would do what they told them. And then they would go back and say, no, you need to do this way. And they're like, no, you told us it had to be done this way. So you can, look up the manifesto on your own time, and you can really see the frustration that mounted in this guy's mind. And, you can see why he took things into his own hands, I guess.
I shared the South Park clip from like just this year, where they go to they go to this nice corporate building. It's like, are you here to pay your bill or this or whatever? Like, no, we're looking for you to file a claim.
Oh, you want money from us?
Yeah.
So they send it to some guy in a back room with an old computer and a rotary phone,
Instagram team accounts,
printer,
automatic
like,
protections.
well, first you have to.
And the content they can see.
We already got it. Well, you got to go get another. Then you need a second opinion. Then you got to go to the specialist. And then you got to go to our doctor. And then you got to go back
to on the street in Midtown Manhattan.
Then you got to come back and get this form. And it's obviously it's designed to make you go through those hoops so you don't. And I just it's just like that says, like it's set up this way. Like it doesn't have to be this way. There was a fake tweet going around from Elon that said businesses have a duty to the shareholders, even if it means ruthlessly running their business or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a fake tweet, but that's right.
That's exactly what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Like a business will tell you that, like, it is okay to screw over your employees, your customers, or whatever, if it makes the stock price go up, because that's what matters.
Yep.
And it's just, I'm curious to see how the rest of this plays out. Like I say, I'm trying to not be too conspiratorial about it, because I do think it's probably just this one guy who was fed up. But he's going to have a lot of people supporting him.
Okay, so we're going to do the rest of this on a speed.
This is a more of a funny.
Yeah. So you guys remember Hawk Tuah, don't you? Hawk Tuah girl Hailey Welch's crypto launch draws scrutiny. A lot of people lost a lot of money, if you didn't know. I just find it so hard to believe that people invested in her and
there's no way
gave her this giant platform.
No,
it was a social media catchphrase, then a merchandising opportunity, and finally a cryptocurrency. We should make a cryptocurrency, the Sleazy coin.
Yeah.
Now the social media sensation who lent her viral Hawk Tuah moment to a new digital coin is the face of the latest controversy centered around crypto and what some are calling an all too familiar racket, meant to trick people into out of their money.
Pump and dump.
Yeah. Influencer Hailey Welch, who shot to internet stardom this year, thanks to a particularly viral interview clip, is pushing back on accusations that Hawk, the cryptocurrency she helped launch this week, is a scam after its price plummeted. Welch said on X that she and the people behind the coin have not sold any of their holdings. The coin's market capitalization was around 28 million as of Thursday afternoon, down from nearly 500 million when it peaked Wednesday, according to Dex Screener, which monitors the price, trading volume, and on-chain trades of various tokens. YouTuber and crypto journalist Stephen Findenson, who has amassed millions of followers on social media under the name Coffeezilla, confronted Welch in a live X Space audio conversation Wednesday titled The Hawk Truth. Really? In the clips of the conversation, which circulated on X, Welch's team denied Feinson's accusations of rug pulling, a term used in crypto world for projects in which a coin's creators seek to build hype and drive up a coin's price only for them to sell their holdings at a profit, which then leaves other investors with devalued tokens after prices drop dramatically. Influencers need to learn that meme coins are not funny when they come at an expense of your fans. Feinstein told NBC News in an email. Welch's team blames snipers, in quotation, snipers, bots programmed to buy tokens immediately upon launch and sell when prices spike, for causing the market cap fluctuation. In an X post Thursday, Welch wrote that her team hasn't sold one token and that no key opinion leaders or influential figures who generated buzz around the coin were given free tokens. She added that they also tried to stop snipers by implementing high fees, which have now been dropped. Representatives for Welch did not immediately respond to her request for comment on Thursday. This was NBC News, by the way. So she's a scam artist. What can you say?
So it would seem.
I don't think that she's necessarily a scam artist. I read that the people that were,
not to be unkind, but I don't think she's smart enough to, or intelligent enough on the subject of
to screw anybody over.
I think she got involved with some people that were like, "Hey, we can do this, and you can make money."
Yep.
But it sounded like those people had sold off their shares. The people that were holding the coins or something like that. It was a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
From what I read. And who knows, that article could be wrong. It could have been speculation or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely pretty shady. And you kind of deserve to lose some money when you invest in the Hawk Tuah girls cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Once again, we should just have a My Heart Pumps Piss for You segment. Because my heart pumps.
Here we go.
My heart pumps piss for all these idiots.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something like investing in Doge that, the world's richest man is trying to, get to be, something decent, I guess you could say.
Well, maybe it kind of is.
Maybe a little bit. I don't think, anybody, I don't know. What it sounded like people were putting their life savings into this coin. And I can't see doing that with cryptocurrency because it's only built around hype. So once the hype goes away, the value drops.
Yeah. And
it's not backed by anything. Like, stocks are backed by mega successful companies and their success, where there's no success to this. It's just built off of popularity. So,
well, I guess the idea is that this guy is accusing that they bought up a lot of the meme coin before they sold it to the public.
Yeah.
Therefore, driving up the demand because there's less of them out there. And then, like say, if they're claiming they didn't sell any off, it makes you wonder why the price dropped so much. Or somebody obviously bought up a bunch and sold some.
Yeah, somebody sold something to make the price drop as well as it did.
And have you guys heard the audio of her where, like, I don't know if it's the Coffeezilla guy talking or something, but they're on like a Discord call.
Yeah.
And she comes on, she goes, "Well, anyway, guys, I hate to interrupt you, but I'm going to bed and I'll talk to you tomorrow." And it's just like the best thing.
Well, like the guy chimes in and she's like, "Well, what the fuck are you doing here?" he's like, "You're pulled the rug. You're screwing people out of money." And she's like, "Okay, well, I got to go." Yeah. It's just like,
and it's like, it's another unfolding situation, but at the same time, like, crypto is relatively unregulated. So like, if you got pumped and dumped, sorry about your luck.
Yeah,
is kind of where you're at.
That's the thing. There's no regulation. Did we not learn our lesson when Tom Brady lost millions of dollars in the Stan, whatever that dude that they thought he was the next like financial bro that was gonna do all these things, but he was really just spending all their money.
Oh, Bankman.
Yeah, Friedman Bankman or whatever. Yeah, whatever his name
that's
was.
even just a sleazy ass name. You know what I mean?
I mean, we've seen that this is, what can happen eventually with cryptocurrency. This is not Bitcoin, and so there's nothing behind it,
Right.
but you deserve it.
Well, it's funny because you talk about the stock market and you talk about even Doge, like Vivek Ramaswamy, like how did he make his money? He pumped and dumped the stock.
Yeah.
He got in on a medication. I forget what it was for. And they had all these things where like this medication is going to like revolutionize like, cardiac patients or whatever. And like his mom was in the business and all this.
Oh, geez.
And they said like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. And meanwhile, they're failing all these tests. And then finally, when it's time to go public, he's hyped it up and he's got so many investors that he's gotten rich off of it. And then he sells all his shares. And then it turns out it comes public like, oh yeah, it's not going to work.
By the way, so if the Trump administration gets the deportation policy that they want, where they essentially they want to deport everybody, regardless if your parents are undocumented and you were born here, does that mean he gets deported too?
I mean, it's they basically want to be able to say, if we want to deport you, we can deport you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like thinking about it. I'm like, his dad is, he's not a U.S. citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So
can't break up the family.
Yeah. Can't break up the family. You got to go, dude.
Elon Musk, he admitted to being overstaying his green card or his visa, whatever, years ago. So
yeah. Once again, my heart pumps piss for those people.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the next article here. And pretty much this is about the TikTok ban. The court upholds a U.S. ban on TikTok. We are probably in the last days of one of the most successful social media sites / apps that we've ever experienced.
This is another one I'm waiting to see how it plays out. It is kind of a done deal if they want it to be.
Yeah.
But like they even whatever, I can't remember who interviewed Trump. Even Trump was like, well, I use TikTok to win, so maybe I don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
they all these people that voted against them use TikTok.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people saying things like, TikTok is a big source of income for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And just to get rid of that would be a bad move and an unpopular move.
It's going to be bad for the economy.
Will be crippling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people are saying they think there's a decent chance they won't ban it. And of course, they can still sell it. ByteDance from China still has a chance to sell it to other companies.
But ByteDance said that if they have to sell it, they're not selling the algorithm with it.
Yeah.
And the algorithm is what makes TikTok valuable.
Yeah. So, like I say, on the one hand, it is a done deal. It can happen, but a lot of people are still hopeful that it probably won't. So it's another one that's kind of up. And if Trump's saying that, but what Trump says, in one side of his mouth, out the other.
And, we don't necessarily get a lot of listens or views nowadays, but we crush it on TikTok. I mean, so that just tells you the reach that it has for everyday folk. But all right, here we go. A federal appeals court on Friday upheld a law banning TikTok nationwide unless the viral video app was sold off by its China-based parent company, rejecting TikTok's claim that the crackdown violates the free speech rights of millions of Americans. In its ruling, the court said that it is precisely because of TikTok's expansive reach that both Congress and the president determined that divesting it from China's control is essential to protect our national security. Whatever.
Yeah.
In its opinion, the court wrote that TikTok's ownership by China-based company ByteDance represents a national security threat that surpasses the free speech concerns of TikTok raised. Actually, they're more worried about you having the free speech on TikTok, and they want to eliminate that. There's never been more communication in our world now.
When you look at like the Israel-Gaza issue,
yeah,
like how many people get their information about that from TikTok, and how much of that information wouldn't have been available at all without
it's TikTok. Not legacy media portraying one view to. You're seeing the raw footage of kids dead and just cities just bombed to rubble, and
just to pick one issue.
Yeah. And they can't hide things anymore, and they can't steer the public's opinion anymore, and they don't want that around. Facebook, and you can say what you want about Elon, but even in Twitter's heyday, they censored things essentially. Not that it really impacted things a whole lot, in my opinion, but they did censor things, and they steered people away from things. So I truly think that it comes down to them kicking Facebook and X's ass and users and usage. And then it comes down to them wanting to control the narrative of what the American people see and hear.
I mean, we've talked about it before, like this whole thing that like China's going to have our information is such kind of BS, because the truth is they want American companies to have your information, because we know for a fact that, Facebook and all that, they've allowed the FBI and the CIA and all those companies access to their data, to our data.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to have to compete with China.
And all the phone calls that you get from all these different scam artists and stuff, that's them buying your information off of these companies. So it's just, that whole excuse is total fucking
very
bullshit.
disingenuous.
Yeah, it's bullshit. They're misleading the American people with that. Okay, continuing on, the First Amendment exists to protect free speech in the United States. Here, the government acted solely to protect that freedom from a foreign adversary nation. Okay. And to limit that adversary's ability to gather data on people in the United States, the court wrote. Critics of banning TikTok included the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University were alarmed by the court's decision. This is a deeply misguided ruling that reads important First Amendment proceedings too narrowly and gives the government sweeping power to restrict Americans' access to information, ideas, and media from abroad, said Jamil Jafar, the group's executive director. We hope that the appeals court's ruling won't be the last word. A TikTok spokesman said the company plans on appealing the Supreme Court. The TikTok ban was conceived and pushed through based upon inaccurate, flawed, and hypothetical information, resulting in outright censorship of the American people, the spokesman wrote. The TikTok ban, unless stopped, will silence the voices of over 170 million Americans. The ruling by a 3-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit delivered the Biden administration a significant victory, but sets TikTok on an uncertain path. President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to save TikTok. What that means, however, could take on several different forms. And I think we'll end on that. So
that's another ongoing issue.
Yeah. I'll save you, but I need to own part of the company. I need some of that cash, and I need loyalty from you. Nobody gets to criticize me on TikTok.
Because I'm Daddy Trump.
Daddy Trump.
I can't stand that shit, man. Well, I just call him Trump. Daddy's home. Get the fuck out of here. Stupid.
Okay, so moving on.
Let's talk some movies.
Yeah, let's talk some movies. Let's get back to our bread and butter here. So Monday, Rob and I, we went to the movies. I had to beg him to go with me though. We went and saw.
That's a far stretch.
Come on. I think we were both hyped for this movie.
Yeah.
But we went and saw Werewolves, and this stars Frank Grillo. And
the only thing I want to know is, do you still have your erection from the director liking your tweet?
That was cool, wasn't it?
That's always, to talk about the positives of social media. That's always kind of cool when somebody involved in something you enjoy kind of,
and all I did, I just
comments or whatever.
Before we went in, well, actually I went out for a bathroom break, and before I went back in, before the movie started, I just snapped a picture of the poster and said, let's fucking go. Hashtag werewolves. And, but anyway, so I think we talked about this a couple episodes back, about how excited we were for this movie. So this stars Frank Grillo, Katrina Law, and who was the director here? I'm looking here.
Some S.C. Miller or Stephen C. Miller.
Yeah, there we go. So a year after supermoon's light activated a dormant gene, transforming humans into bloodthirsty werewolves and causing nearly 1 billion deaths. 1 billion deaths. It's worse than COVID. The nightmare resurfaces as the supermoon rises again. 2 scientists attempt to stop the mutation, but fail, leaving those people exposed to the moonlight to once again become feral werewolves. Chaos engulfs the streets as the scientists struggle to reach one of their family's homes, now under siege by the savage creatures.
That sounds like a silly but fun premise.
Exactly.
And, that's a really good way to describe this movie. Silly but fun. There's not, aside from Frank Grillo and Lou Diamond Phillips is in it. He plays one of the scientists. pretty cool to see Lou Diamond Phillips still getting work. Frank Grillo. If you're a fan of Frank Grillo and you're a fan of werewolves, you're gonna love this movie.
Yeah.
There are some parts where you're like, wow, that was cheesy as hell.
Yeah.
Terrible acting in that part. We shouldn't have included that. It just really took away from the seriousness of the movie. But I got to give them credit. They did practical effects, and the werewolves looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's probably my favorite part of the movie is the way they made the werewolves, and obviously the transformation. That's kind of like CGI, I believe.
They didn't do a whole lot of transformation. They did like a little bit, and it wasn't terrible.
No,
I've seen way worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we all have. But Frank Grillo is Frank Grillo in this. He's awesome in it. Lou Diamond Phillips, what little he's in it, he's pretty good. But I mean, there's some cheesy things in it, like the moon screen.
Yeah.
Basically, they make this. They're trying to figure out how to prevent people from transforming again, and they create this moon screen that kind of blocks the moonlight from activating whatever
basically
turns you into a werewolf. And let's just say something happens, and from there they're trying to get back home to so this guy can protect his family, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny, like how they kind of echo some of today's political environment, with certain people, gun enthusiasts and stuff like that. But it was really cool, man. I really dug it. Aside from a couple of the cheesy scenes, look, it's not the best movie. I'll just say that like I wouldn't tell you to go see it in the movie theaters, because it really probably shouldn't have gotten a movie theater release.
I was very surprised by that.
Yeah. When you watch it as it progresses, you definitely feel that it's a streaming quality type of movie.
Right.
But it's still a fun movie. And if you like werewolves, it's right up your alley. If you like Frank Grillo, right up your alley. You're going to have fun with it.
And I feel like if they had a little bit higher budget, I think in my opinion, it could have been just like the movie Daybreakers with vampires. It could have been that way with werewolves if they had that more of a budget friendly push to it. And
here's the thing, like I really applaud them. They really tried something different, and they kind of like did werewolves with like the Purge almost, that kind of a survival environment overnight. But I really hope it gets a sequel. I want to see what happens to these people and if they progress at all in this.
I mean, if Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey can get a sequel, this movie
there's no reason why it should.
There's reason why this movie can't get a sequel.
Yeah, I want to see Frank Grillo come back, and I will say this: the ending is kind of cheesy, but
well, it makes you. It's super cheesy, but then it leaves you wondering, like, what's going to happen, like after this happens?
Yeah.
Like, what's the ramifications of this happens?
Yeah, like what are these people going to do?
Yeah,
but it is, you're going to have a fun time watching this. And worst case scenario, you have some good laughs, and you enjoyed your time watching it.
Especially if you really like going to movies with your friends, like we do. It's a fun watch.
Yeah, and I ranked it on Letterboxd as a 3.
I give it a 3. If it wasn't in theaters or I saw with people, it'd be like a 2B rating, like a 2.5 in my opinion. It'd been like a 2.5.
Oh, it's an average movie, so it's at least a 2.5. But I had fun, so I gave it that extra half.
That's
so I went to 3 stars on it. But
I think a lot of people say that it missed opportunity, and it may be a budget issue.
Well, and that's I listened to Frank Grillo was on Christian Harloff's podcast. I sent you guys the link. You probably didn't watch it. But
probably not.
No, you didn't, because dude, this guy, he's posting shit we shared like months ago. And I don't even say anything anymore. I just laugh at it. But he had mentioned that they
quit bullying.
They got a second dose of funding, I believe, and they were able to kind of go back in and do sounds and stuff like that through the editing process. And but yeah, like, missed opportunities is the thing there, and it could have used a little bit better writing. But overall, I mean, I give them credit. I mean, I've watched some pretty bad werewolf movies. I mean, I turned that one off that just came out recently that was on Tubi or whatever. It was so fucking bad.
blackout or whatever.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't watch it, dude. It was unwatchable.
There's a couple funny parts. I
But,
it was funny, but
this one is at least entertaining and suspenseful. Like when they're going through the city and they're trying not to, there's like the werewolves are in like packs and they're like fucking cars up and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to sneak around and, they accidentally knock something over and it's intense in certain scenes. And it's fun. It's fun, but I'm going to tell you, wait for it to stream before you go out and watch it. Yeah. But, I don't think I'm going to like rush to like buy it on video on demand or anything like that.
When it's free streaming, I'll be checking it out again.
I think you'll eventually see it on like Tubi or Netflix, probably.
Yeah.
But definitely, it was a fun movie, but you can wait this one out for sure. Okay. So, and you said you gave it a 3 too.
I gave it 3.
Okay. All right. All right. So we're moving on to the last segment here. Guess I should have put us back up on the screen there. I wasn't even paying attention. Got so like hyped up talking about werewolves and shit.
Frank Grillo.
By the way, I also enjoyed how some of the werewolves, when they transformed, they still had their clothes like on them. So like one guy has like a bulletproof vest on.
It says Wolf Killer on it.
Yeah.
Red, white, and blue, baby.
Yeah. Still had his face paint on from where he was getting ready for
I want to fucking bury you, Cody.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like before the night comes, everybody's like locking down their homes.
It's just like the Purge.
Yeah, some people have giant fences and they electrify them and stuff and
board it up and all that stuff.
It's a fun watch. But I went and saw Gladiator 2, and let's see here. Let me get my bearings straight here. So this was the not so long awaited sequel. I don't think anybody really cared to have a sequel to this. To Gladiator. I mean, Gladiator is such a perfect movie, and you might know that if you ever watched it.
I told you I've got my 1-star review locked and loaded for when I finally watch it.
See other people's head explodes.
You're ready to pull the trigger on that bad boy.
I know I see a lot of people say that it's overrated. I know, I wouldn't say that if Hot Sauce were here, maybe, but
you would get knocked the fuck out, dude. He'd be all over that.
He's like, "Fuck you, buddy."
Yeah. Okay, let me see here. Gladiator 2.
Did you guys ever hear the story about the original pitch for Gladiator 2? No. There was an artist named Nick Cave, and he's been in bands, and he's an Australian, and he did. I don't know if you guys saw The Proposition from years ago with Guy Pearce. It's the Western. I think I remember that. I think he wrote that.
I didn't watch it, but I remember it.
And so he wrote this really bonkers movie. It's like, how do you, spoiler alert, I guess, but Maximus dies at the end. It's like he said, how do you make a sequel that he's dead? And so he wrote this crazy sequel where like Maximus goes into the afterlife and like ends up like, I don't know if he's like fighting the gods or whatever. And at the end of it, he ends up being like the Roman soldier that kills Jesus or something. And it was going to be called like Gladiator 2 God Killer or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And even Nick Cave says this was just like a completely insane idea. And I'm like, I'd be interested in that one. That was the one I kind of
That sounds kind of kick ass.
And just totally off the rails. But tell me about the Gladiator 2 that we did get. So I still remember that influencer who said, not only is this better than the first one, it may be one of the greatest films of all time.
No. That influencer would be very much wrong.
Very uninfluential.
Listen, I gave it 4 stars. I had a lot of fun watching it, but it's not very accurate of the times. Oh, yeah. Let's just say what's the guy that directed this?
Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott, yeah. Ridley Scott went fucking Hollywood as much as possible in this movie. So I really love Gladiator. I think it's a well-written movie. It's got some very famous lines that even our boy Luigi Mangione quoted in his manifesto. But they did a good job of, for it being such a long gap in between, because it takes place like, I don't know, I want to say like 15 to 20 years later after the first one, because, you find out some things that happen that tie into this character that is essentially the Maximus of this
Protagonist of this story.
yeah, he's the protagonist of this story. Good job, you didn't say antagonist this time.
Thank you.
But they do a good job of tying it in the best they can with it being a sequel so far away from the original. And listen, do you like seeing Romans battle and the Greece battle and stuff? Because I mean, the movie starts out with like the last independent city, and they're fighting the Romans off, and that's how this guy gets captured and sold into slavery. And a lot of people are complaining about Denzel Washington not having an accent in this. And I got to, it's funny, when I watch this stuff, I immediately go and I'm like reading about Roman history and watching. I watched a National Geographic special on Roman engineering and stuff one night after I got done with it. But people seem to think that everybody has to have like a British accent or an English accent when they play in these movies. Like, well, the Romans spoke Latin, so it really doesn't fucking matter. Does it matter what accent these people speak? I mean, he could have just spoke his regular thing. I wouldn't have cared.
Well, we've talked about that before in some other movies. Like, I'm not going to get caught up in accents. I'd rather you do no accent than a bad accent, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
And listen, Denzel Washington is definitely the sore thumb that sticks out in this movie. I would have, I kept like, when I was watching this, I'm like, man, this would have been a great role for, what's our boy from Succession? And
thinking Brian Cox.
Brian Cox, yeah. Like, I'm like, man, Brian Cox would destroy this role. But I mean, look, Denzel was he wasn't bad in the movie, but he just sticks out because he doesn't fit in with the rest of the cast, I guess you could say. But it makes sense, he's a former, I believe he was a former slave that kind of gained some power and whatnot. And
I mean, it's Denzel's Denzel. I mean,
but I mean, they did a good job because what it is these two twins are the emperors of Rome, and they're, Rome is filled with all this corruption, and the people aren't having it, aren't happy. And one of the twins is, I want to say one of them's Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Look that up, Rob. And then the other one is Eddie from Stranger Things.
Okay.
So, but they're these two pale, annoying, spoiled, emperors. And, making a long story short, he ends up he gets sold into being a gladiator. And there's a lot of, behind the scenes, trying to overthrow Rome and stuff like that going on. It's a good, if you're into Rome shit, you're going to love this movie. And if you like Gladiator 1, you'll probably love this movie.
Joseph Quinn.
Yes, Joseph Quinn.
And the other one was Fred Hershinger. Oh, man,
yeah.
And then one of them gets gunned down in front of the Rome Hilton.
Yeah. Yep. And they find the arrow has been etched with delay, defend, and depose. No, but it was a very entertaining movie. It's just not very accurate to its time. Like, there's a scene where they fill the Colosseum up with water and sharks, and the sharks don't look great. They're CGI'd, obviously. And then they make the gladiators fight some Roman soldiers or whatever in like rowboats. So they're like, Ridley Scott must have a real hard on for like dudes rowing.
Yeah.
Because like there's several scenes in the movie where slaves are getting whipped and have to row and shit. And they make a point to, show the back muscles off and how hard they're fucking working. But yeah, I mean, that's my biggest complaint of the movie is, did they really need to have that scene? They could have easily just taken them out on the ocean and had them fight like that instead of filling the Colosseum up with it. But
it's just not very cost efficient, I would say.
Yeah, I know a lot.
It was, Rome. They didn't,
right.
It wasn't about the money.
No,
it's about sending a message.
It's about the entertainment. Are you not entertained?
Also, Warrior McCann was in it. The Hound.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of people in it. But yeah, I mean, it's a very entertaining movie, I thought, and I had fun watching it. And depending on how you scale a movie, a lot of times I just look at how well it entertains me. And if if that's your bar for, you're going to enjoy it, you know? So if that's the only thing that you're looking for out of a movie, whether you have fun and you're entertained, you're going to enjoy the movie. But, you know, people that are history buffs and film, cinema bros, I can see their complaints. You know, a lot of people say Ridley Scott's lazy nowadays.
I think his own cinematographer called him lately.
Yeah. Like he just wants to fix a lot of stuff and post edit and stuff like that. You know, I didn't notice a whole lot of that stuff. I mean, I was just so into, you know, seeing dudes take a spear and
I saw that comment from a cinematographer who was complaining that Ridley was getting lazy and like using a bunch of cameras set up to do one shot just so he wouldn't have to, you know, refilm things. And somebody said, like, look, Ridley's in his 80s. He's got to go. He's on to his next movie. He's going.
When you're that old, nobody, you know, it's like, let's get the best we can and move on, you know? Yeah, I'm sure he's not obsessing over every detail like he did in his 30s, you know? But I liked it. Pedro Pascal was awesome in this too.
I was wondering how well he did.
And I mean, he's only in about half of the movie, spoiler alert, but he's a general for the Roman Empire, and man, he does an excellent job. Very excellent job. Pedro Pascal, is he not on his game? He's just in everything now. Like even that shitty Wonder Woman sequel, he was good in.
He was the best part.
Yeah, literally the best part. Paul Mescal, he was pretty decent as the lead. I was digging him in the movie. He was a good actor. And like I said, Denzel Washington, you know, he's Denzel. Does Denzel ever do bad in a movie? I don't think so.
No.
So if you're a Denzel fan, you're really going to enjoy the movie. But, you know, I gave it 4 stars. You know, the whole scene in the Coliseum with the sharks was enough to like drop it down. But like I said, for a movie being a sequel to almost a perfect movie that didn't need to be made, he did a good job. I'll give him credit. And it was entertaining. And I hear that we might get a Gladiator 3.
Really?
So it is what it is, you know? But yeah, like I said, I can see the arguments from the cinema bros, but you know, the average person that's watching this movie is probably entertained by it. And this is one I would recommend you go to the theater this holiday season.
They're one of the Letterboxd reviews says, I was not entertained. He kept it pretty simple.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm on Letterboxd here. Pull this up here. Yeah, we can read a couple reviews before we go. The number of times I murmured to myself, that's me while watching this is insane. What?
Okay.
Let's see. This review may contain spoilers. Of course, the 2 tyrants had to be 2 twinks. That's very true. In the Coliseum, we all fan.
Yeah.
Society's first downfall started when men stopped wearing skirts. I don't know about that. What do you guys feel about that?
I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what I wrote for it. I don't get the hate for this movie from my film peers. Genuinely good performances, fights and battles. My only real complaint, other than Denzel's lack of accent, is the movie does seem to have trouble with the ending. And that was another thing. It just kind of doesn't know how to end. And it just kept kind of going for a little bit, and it should have just ended, you know. But they did a really good job of paying tribute to the original Gladiator in it too.
Yeah.
Probably a little too much, but like I said, it's not a perfect movie, but it's definitely it's a blockbuster type movie that you want to go see in the theater and experience the sound and the rumble of the battle, stuff like that. So definitely, if you got time this holiday season, go check it out in the theater. Don't take your kids and, you know, have it be a history lesson though, because it's fairly inaccurate for its time. But yeah,
I took my children. I didn't know I was going to go see.
Did they really have sharks in the Roman Empire? Like, how would they transport like all that water into the
laser beams on their freaking
I mean, they
heads?
really did fill the Coliseum with water and have like ship battles. I don't know if they got sharks in there. Or not.
Yeah, I don't think they had sharks, but like, I mean, I know they were great engineers, but that's a lot of water to push into the Coliseum and all that too. That's another, we gotta figure out, we gotta learn about that now. Like, how did they fill the Coliseum?
Did the sharks have laser beams on their freaking heads?
No, they didn't. They looked really bad too. But yeah, I don't know. Like, how did they get those fucking ships into the Coliseum now? You got me thinking.
Yeah.
So, because they weren't like little.
Right. They were like ships.
Yeah.
like battleships, not like rowboats.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's some things that are, he does a good job with keeping some things in line, but he definitely went like full Hollywood blockbuster for this
We're
one.
gonna put sharks in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Now, Ridley, do we really need to do that?
Yeah, like there's a part where the main guy like knocks one of the Romans into the water, and they're like go to help him, and a shark just snatches him right up, and you're like, shit.
What was that? There was a clip of Ridley from like Napoleon or something, where he just like told some guy, like, just shut up, nerd.
Yeah.
I forget exactly what, but he's like, I don't care, shut up.
I didn't know that they filled the Coliseum up with water. I knew that they couldn't. Like, where would they transport the sharks to get them in there?
Yeah.
Like,
you'd have to catch sharks and all that. Like, I know because they do. Obviously, we all know they did animals and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, they definitely had animals. There's a giant scene with a rhino too.
Yeah,
and you're just like, really? Like, there's a guy riding a rhino into the Coliseum.
Yeah. Well, I've always knew that they always has some type of cat, like a lion or a tiger. Which I always knew that.
And that's the problem with this movie, is that it has to up the first one. So they had to get more crazy with the theatrics of the battles in the Coliseum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got a sequel, you got to up everything.
Yeah.
Even if it's outrageous, like, well, it's a sequel. It's like, no, you really don't.
Yeah. But, like I said, it has my seal of approval. I think you'll be entertained when you go to the movie theaters and see this. If not, you can call me a piece of shit and tell me I'm wrong on the internet. I don't care.
You can get fucked.
No, I'm not saying that. But, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But, that's all we have for this episode. Do you have anything to end the show with? How about you, Robzilla?
Like and share the show, please.
Yes.
Feedback is always great.
That is our, call to action every week. Share the episode with somebody that might like the show, obviously. And then from there, they'll share the episode or the show with somebody. And make sure you're liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel. That helps us, go through the algorithm and all that jazz.
Especially if TikTok does get banned.
Yeah. And, if that happens, you can catch us on everything else. We're on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, X. Letterboxd. Yeah, we're all on Letterboxd. So most of us are on there. Rob is pretty non-existent on social media. Every once in a while, he might post something.
Yeah.
But
don't bother with Rob.
Yeah, don't bother with Rob. Just interact with me on PBS.
Mm-hmm.
And I think next Friday we might do a holiday special. So I'm talking to Papa Flynn. I haven't decided if we're going to do trivia or if we're just going to, I ordered the Christmas Against Humanity or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
So we could do that. So just have a nice, fun little episode for the holidays. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Bring in the new year on the 2-year episode.
On the 200th episode.
200th episode. Yeah.
Okay. Are you having a stroke over there?
I am.
What did he say? The 200th episode? I was like, what? I had to think about it. Like, yeah, that'll be episode 203 weeks or 2 weeks.
My bad.
Coffee.
He's like, he speaks like Homer when Homer's like salivating over food.
You got him hooked on that neuro gum. Now I need some more.
He's coming down off of the high from it.
Like,
he's running out of his limitless drug and he's starting to come back to like normal person. Now you're like,
All right, that's all, folks. Keep it sleazy.
Thanks for listening to the Sleazy Podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and remember, listen to Sleazy.